Fox 34 Football Friday, presented by Cardinal Sports Center. It's 10 o'clock, and it's time for Fox 34 Football Friday.
Yes, it is. Abernathy's Justin Wiley fell short in his debut as head coach at Shallowater. How the Antelopes fared at Slayton.
The Monterey Plainsmen are itching to hit the gridiron. Why? Wayne Hutchinson's team says that his squad looks like a greased oil machine.
Greasy. The Estacado Matadors looking to bounce back after a Week 1 loss if Joe Cluley's club can get the dub at home. And welcome everybody to Week 2 here on Fox 34 Football Friday. I'm Bobby Joe Verby.
And I'm Kurt Kaiser along with Bobby Joe. Last year, the Matadors remained undefeated until a few rounds into the playoffs. This year, they fell Week 1 to Greenwood.
That's right, Kurt. The Matadors had a tough test tonight. They opened up Lowry Field, taking on the Dumas Demons. Here come the Matadors. Joe Cluley's crew, they came out with some juice, Kurt Kaiser. Early on for Dumas, the Demons, well, they didn't waste any time. Spencer Williams drops back and absolutely heaves one to Luis Ortiz, who snags it. Turns on the Jets, and Dumas was on top 7-0. Next drive, Dumas still rolling along. Williams chucks another, this time Juan Romero. And that would set up another Demon touchdown. They led 14-0 at this point. Matadors would respond though. Dobbins finds the UNT commit TJ Steele on the screen, and he explodes down the sideline. He is long gone. That made it 14-6. A little later on, 21-6, now in favor of Dumas. Williams drops back, finds Zyrel Emerga over the middle, and he goes all the way to the house. 28-6 Dumas. Another rough night for Estacado, but it's early. The final in this one, 38-13. Yeah, tough loss for Estacado. Our Brady King is live at Lowry Field. Brady, first home game for any Lubbock ISD team. How's the atmosphere out there tonight, or how was it earlier on?
Yeah, Rob, it's obviously silent out here now, but I promise it was very exciting earlier. Estacado was pumped to be playing at home. They were the only show in town, and Dumas, being that number 4 team in the state, obviously brought a pretty big crowd themselves. But after last week's loss for the Matadors, Coach Joe Cluley said it was back to the drawing board. It was a learning lesson, and the goal tonight was to run the football more. They did that, but ultimately Dumas's defense was just too tough. I talked to Joe Cluley yesterday, and he said that after this game, he will know exactly where his team stands after playing coaching staffs that know exactly how to expose their weaknesses. Cluley mentioned that he and the Dumas head coach, Aaron Dunham, have a great relationship, usually strategizing with each other each week, but they obviously talked a little bit less this week.
We went up there in 2016, and Coach Dunham, Aaron, who is now the head coach there, Chad was the head coach and he was the DC, and they beat us like 56-0 and blocked like 4 punts. It was the most embarrassing. It was embarrassing. And then in 17, we came back and beat them like 48-17 after we had just lost. And so we kind of, once he got the job and I got the job at the same time, we scrimmaged each other for our first ever scrimmage again. And so we just kind of become friends since then.
Estacado's 0-2 now, and it's obviously not the start they wanted, but like Cluley said, it's these tough teams that are going to set them up for the playoffs. And so that's one positive to come out of tonight. Reporting live from Lowry Field, Brady King, Fox 34 Sports.
Thank you, Brady. It was a rough debut for first-year Abernathy coach Justin Wiley last week. His team fell to Shallowater, Kurt, 26-6.
That's right, Roberto. This week he'll be playing another first-year guy, Lawrence Johnson, and Slayton, the Tigers, defeating Snyder last week. Let's head out and look at this game here as Slayton looking for a 2-0 start. Their defense got off to a good start in this one. 4th and 2 for Abernathy. Colton Campbell gets the give, but is stuffed behind the line of scrimmage by Laz Guire. The next drive, the Tigers would have some success after that big play by the defense. They got deep into Antelope's territory. The drive ended with a Tay Thompson field goal from 28 out, 3-0 Slayton. A little bit later, another same score. Aiden Ramirez drops back 3rd and long, connects with Eddie Betancourt. That's a 40-yard gain. The drive continues. Abernathy defense would hold up, though. That would cue Thompson once again. Tay comes out, and he does it once again, this time from 35 yards out, and he nails it. Tigers up 6-0. This one, neck and neck, Maroon Platoon.
Platoon.
That's hard to say, Rob. The
Platoon.
Maroon Platoon squeaks it out with the victory, 21-13.
Let's head to Bobcat Stadium, shall we? Smyer hosting Plains. First quarter, Smyer with the ball. Quarterback Ethan Ramirez. I can't roll my R's like Kurt can, but I'll do what I can. He'll keep it. Design play, finds an opening, picks up a first down. A few plays later, after his score got called back, Ramirez takes it in. 6-0 Bobcats, 2-point conversion. Excuse me, Mr. Referee. It happens. He's in there, 8-0 home team. Same score now, early second quarter. Ramirez showing off the gun, deep downfield. Caleb Northcutt, you betcha, but hold on. They called offensive pass interference. No celebration on that one, but hey, the Bobcats win big tonight. The final, Kurt, 40-12.
Big day for Ramirez. Roosevelt taking on New Home, as you can see, the hottest ticket in town. First quarter, no score. Jacob Torres finds his Casa Nueva in the happy place as he gives the Eagles a 6-0 lead. That's just about as cool as these fruit chills. They were sold to help the Roosevelt Education Program, our unofficial concession champ provided by Bahama Bucks. The Leopards trying to gain some momentum here. Kenyon Taylor, shades of Charles Woodson in 97 as he breaks up the pass. Big defensive play. Cheerleaders enjoying the game so far. A little more Torres now on the Eagles' next drive. Here he races to the corner, largely untouched. That would give the home team a 14-0 lead. Here's the team celebration filmed documentary style. The Eagles 46D coming up big with the 46-0 win. Second straight week that Roosevelt hasn't allowed an offensive score. Incredible.
Alrighty, we head out to Lorenzo. Hornets thankful to play after last week's game was called. Social distancing rules well followed, especially at the concession stand. Shades of the great Earl Campbell. He had those big old thighs, Kurt Kaiser.
He did.
Freshman phenom Zeke Castle races into the end zone untouched, giving Laz Buddy a 14-0 lead. For the Longhorn fan base, you can tell they are fired up, I guess. Hornets trying to show some life. Check out the rocket arm of Aaron Martinez. Dun, 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 dun. As Chris Quintana keeps the drive going. However, the Hornets would stall. The 2020 Laz Buddy Longhorns looking like the 2005 Texas Longhorns, dare I say. And once more, Castle goes in untouched right as the first quarter expires. The pride of Palmer County should enjoy the 90-minute bus ride back home. They win 68-32.
I would say they would. Levelland suffered a tough loss last week. Coming up on Football Friday, if the local
First and most comprehensive. This is Fox 34 Football Friday.
And welcome back, everybody. Brownfield Cubs looking to get their first win of the season against Tulia.
The Hornets took down Floydado last week, looking to make it 2 in a row. Let's check it out. Brownfield trying to get the job done. It was homecoming tonight in Brownfield for the Cubs as they come out onto the field after an early stop. Cubs quarterback Zarius Garcia finds senior wide receiver Nico Vela muscling through defenders into the end zone. The Cubs would go up 7-0. The Hornets would respond, though, and you got to celebrate before you get a response. Here comes wide receiver Braden Franco on the direct snap. He whizzes through the defense, and we've got a tie game. That's how he whizzed. Did you see him whiz? That was really
yeah,
something.
he whizzed.
Yeah,
He whizzed.
boy.
Yeah.
Few possessions later, Tulia's Franco heaves it downfield. The big boy, Landon Morales, with the catch right there. That would set up a field goal, putting the Hornets up 10-7. It's good. And that's how it would stay. Tulia would spoil Brownfield's homecoming. That's gotta sting. Hornets defense playing like executioner wasps. They go home with a 10-7 win.
You see the guy out there trying to block the sun?
I did. I thought he was
Yeah.
swatting away the Hornets.
Might have been. Out in Levelland, the Lobos taking on the Snyder Tigers. Just before halftime, Tigers trying to get downfield. Jorge Oliveras making a couple of defenders miss. 12-2 at the half. Third quarter, Jorge Martinez with the Butterfingers. He's going to cough it up into the Lobos' arms. I used to love Butterfinger Blizzards. Love them.
Those are great.
They used to stove me up, but I loved them. Level M would drive down the field. Dylan Bordeo with the quarterback keeper, weaving in and out of players. And the Lobos would go on to score, but our photog had to get back to the studio on time. I don't really
Just take our word for it.
Guess what? I don't buy that excuse, so we're going to meet after the show. Level M would roll 26-10 over Snyder.
Heading down to Sundown, where the Roughnecks were taking on Sudan. Opening drive, quarterback Carson Holson. He flips it back to running back E.J. Hernandez. He walks it in for the easy score.
You're such a
They'd go
show
for
off.
two and they would miss. Sundown again. This time it's the big boy. He keeps it. Carson Holson. He's chugging it into the end zone.
He's
You see him
chugging,
chug?
yeah. Big guy.
Roughnecks would go for two again. E.J. Hernandez, he walks it in this time. Roughnecks up 14-0. They would keep rolling. Carson Holson again. He can't be stopped. He's driving it home. Sundown, steamrolling.
Looks like a man
Number
among
10
boys.
Sudan. Look at
A
this.
little bit, yeah.
59-15 Sundown.
Chugging.
Wow.
Chugging
Roughnecks,
along for their second win in a
Second
row.
win in a row. That's right.
I'm sorry, I
were
didn't mean to
chugging.
take over. They were chugging. I got excited watching that guy
It's
chug.
fun to watch him chug.
Yeah, it sure is. You ever chug? All right.
No, not recently. No.
Me neither.
I gave it up.
About 30 years ago? Okay.
A long time.
Yeah.
Too old to chug.
Me too, Kurt. Okay. Post taking on the Forsan Buffaloes, and they took care of business easily tonight. Bold Gold wins comfortably, 39-7. Plenty of chugging out there. It seems Michael and Slayton Pittman have picked up right where they left off after making an appearance in the state title game last season.
And how about Brian Wood's crew at Shallowater beating Abernathy 46-6 last week, and they take down Seminole tonight at my favorite stadium, 34-14 at Wigwam Stadium, but it was not a happy Wigwam this evening. Shallowater was up 20-14 into the third, and they really pulled away late. Mustangs 2-0 on the season, and they've gotten off to a really strong start, outscoring opponents 60-20 in their first two ball games.
Wow. Well, our high school analyst, Garrett Luff, now joins us from the Double T 9730 studio. Garrett, after a few weeks, how are you feeling, my friend, about the Estacado Matadors?
Well, the Mats are in a tough spot right now because Coach Cluley has put them up against a murderer's row of a non-district schedule, and they felt the weight of that now. Dumas is a very, very strong ball club, so I wasn't surprised by tonight's result. But Estacado did some really good things early. They had a 20-play drive in the first half where they literally ate up 10 minutes of clock, got inside the red zone and couldn't finish, and they botched the field goal attempt, and it was all south from there for the Mats. So I think they're young. I think a lot of the key guys from last year aren't back, and they're having to fill those holes. But maybe it's better because last year every week was just trying to keep that undefeated record. The pressure was on. I think the idea of improving steadily might be a little bit easier to sort of swallow for this coaching staff and the young team. I would expect by November these guys are going to be pretty good.
Gary, we're talking about Shallowater, looking really good last week against Abernathy. Another win tonight. Do you think this year's Mustang squad's for real?
Yeah, I think this is a tradition-rich program that has had a couple of years that weren't so hot here lately, but they go down a division and really pound on a state-ranked Abernathy team a week ago, and then going up a division really today to play Seminole, and they look like they didn't miss a beat. Their defense seems to be heavily improved from a year ago, and they're throwing the football effectively, which isn't usually their MO. Even under Brian Wood, they're really doing well with that. So I think the Mustangs could very well be legitimate this year.
All right, Garrett, we'll check in with you a little later on. Appreciate your time as always.
All right, Lubbock ISD schools sporting some new and improved.
Now, back to Fox 34 Football Friday.
Estacado football currently the toast of the town when it comes to Lubbock ISD football. The other three schools are delayed until the end of the month.
Yeah, one of those others, the Monterey Plainsmen, our Big John Sokoloff previewing Wayne Hutchinson's bunch this week.
The Plainsmen took a step in the right direction last year, getting back in the playoffs after missing the postseason in 2018. When it comes to head coach Wayne Hutchinson's bunch, they're just grateful for each opportunity right now.
I've seen a lot more urgency out of our kids because I think they've realized that, at any point, their season could be taken away from them.
When it comes to the quarterback position for Monterey, it'll be hard to fill the void of Corian Bailey. He graduated this year. Wayne Hutchinson's philosophy has always been to have a dual-threat quarterback. He has been pleased with the competition between Keyshawn Harris and Blake Porter.
Both those guys bring a little bit something different to the table. Blake probably a little faster. Keyshawn just has some elusiveness. Both of them have really improved their accuracy on their throwing. Like the way they throw the deep ball.
The defensive side has impressed Hutch the most, specifically the defensive line and its ability to take over a game.
They've got the size this year to go along with the quickness that I think can really create some problems for some offenses.
We fly to the ball, everybody, we're fast. We're really fast, actually. We're really fast, we're really balanced, we fly to the ball. And just in general, we're just really strong this year.
Hutchinson is proud of the team's growth after their playoff run last season and is confident in this year's group.
I tell them we look like a greased oil machine. I said, all we got to do is just stay healthy, continue to keep our mindset like it needs to be, and I think we're going to really surprise some people just from what I've seen in practice.
The Plainsmen open up the year at Odessa on the 25th. John Sokoloff, Fox 34 Sports.
And Lubbock ISD making some changes to player safety equipment this season. 7th through 12th grade players will have a clear plastic guard added to their helmets, face mask, as you can see right there. The guard covers the player's entire face and is meant to help prevent an outbreak of COVID-19 among players and coaches during games and practices.
And the Lubbock Titans are also playing safer this year. That's the Lubbock Homeschool Christian Athletics Association. It's part of a donation from the Youth Equipment for Sports Safety Program. That's to prevent internal injuries. The pads were inspired by a Florida high school player's death after taking a hit to the midsection 12 years ago. It's the same gear that's worn in college and pro ball. Lubbock Titans are only the second team in Texas to get that donation.
For Football Friday.
We're only 8 days away from the season opener. Usually by now, Tech will have a scrimmage a few times. However, dealing with positive COVID-19 results makes it difficult to do that. There were 12 active cases on the football team reported earlier this week.
Yeah, there were, and here's the head man on what the Red Raiders are doing instead of scrimmaging.
Many scrimmages and some, hard thud practices with live work in between. Quite a few teams are doing that just because of, you got numbers that are down. It's hard to have a 100 and something place scrimmage if you're not a legit, you got guys in quarantine or whatever. And we had some a couple weeks ago, and so we just kind of pushed some of that back. And I think we've gotten some good live work. We got some live work done today, and we'll get a little bit done on Friday night as well. But I think you've got to take it in kind of bits and pieces a little bit.
Now, Rob and John, obviously a lot of changes due to COVID-19, not just with the lack of crowd, a few people, but not as many. But what changes did the Big 12 outline earlier this week for the team that we'll see?
Well, the Big 12 today saying first and foremost that you need at least 53 players active that are ready to go in order to be able to play in said game. Another main thing was you need at least 7 offensive linemen, 4 defensive linemen, and at least 1 quarterback. Now, they didn't fully go into specifics, but I'm assuming that if you're a team and you're going into things and all your quarterbacks are hurt, you're probably not going to want to be like, hey, Adrian Fry, you're our quarterback this week, because you won't have good chances anyway. So bottom line is, I think you're going to have to be very careful with your position groups, making sure, your guys in your QB room are staying socially distant when they're meeting and vice versa. But, offensive linemen, it sounds like you can have a good amount, D linemen as well. But, things look a little clearer in this type of world. There's not as much clarity, but now football's starting to take a little bit of shape.
Yeah, I'm really thinking, the more I think about the college football season, John and Kurt, I think we're going to see a lot of upsets, because I think they're going to, for example, let's say Texas Tech gets Texas and UT's got a bunch of positive tests.
Yeah.
And the Red Raiders don't. Well, is that an upset anymore if they would beat them? I think this season could be just absolutely whack.
Well, we're seeing that in a lot of sports. Where you're finding the regular rules don't apply here.
No, they don't.
So it's totally different.
What I was going to build off Rob is, too, Rob, that's a good point. Teams could get decimated about that. And also, it's not like there'll just be one player that tests positive. These guys are in the locker room together. They're working out together. They're close to each other in these drills. Odds are, if one person has it, multiple players will as well. So that's another thing to look out for. But again, ending this with a glass half full approach, I'm just excited that they're going out there, they're trying to do this thing, and they're prepared for those positive tests.
Yeah, I really think the Big 12, SEC, and ACC did the right thing. I mean, look what's going on with the Big 10 right now. You know, you got the protest, and they're wanting to start their season now, you know, sooner than they originally said. So, I mean, I think they did the best thing, and we'll see how it plays out.
Yes,
all
we
righty,
will.
coming up next, we'll have a score update.
All right, let's head to the scoreboard. Check out some of the scores around the area. Post a big win against Fort Sam. The Buffaloes fall 39-7, and the New Deal Wildcats, they fell at Wellington. The final there was 22-14.
And Estacado taking a tough loss at home, losing to a very good Dumas team, ranked 4th in the state, 38-13. Abernathy outlasting Slayton in a close one, 21-13.
Smyer with a big win against Plains as they send the Cowboys home. 40-12 was the final. Roosevelt with the skunk as they beat New Home 46-0.
And Lorenzo thankful to be back on the field after last week's cancellation. And, however, they fell to Laz Buddy 68-32. Shallowater off to a 2-0 start. The Stangs down Seminole 34-14.
Tulia Hornets, they get the win in Brownfield, spoiling the Cubs' homecoming 10-7. That's gotta sting. Lobos getting the win at home as they beat Snyder 26-10.
Sundown hangs the 50-piece Kurt on Sudan. They get the win 59-15. Do you know the story behind 50-piece and what that means?
I do not.
Okay. Anton with a 1-2 punch against Southland. They send the Eagles packing 49-0. We now bring in our high school analyst, Garrett Luft. Garrett, what's the big game next week? And do you know what a 50-piece is? Where did that originate?
I can tell you about a 50 burger. I don't know anything about a 50
I like the burger
piece.
idea. Yeah, that's better.
Okay, 50 burger. All right. All right.
I'll tell you what's maybe not the biggest game because right now it's kind of low for them, but Canyon had a 70 burger at the end of the third quarter tonight in their ball game against Burt Burnett. That's who Estacado has to go play next week, so that's a really tough road to hoe for them. But I really like the Abernathy Sundown game next week. I think Abernathy bounced back well tonight. Got a good win over Slayton, and Sundown obviously pounded on Sudan, so that should be a good matchup. And then Shallowater Levelland, I think the Lobos could make that interesting next week, but Shallowater really strong start to the season. And then Slayton New Deal going to be another great ball game next week. The Lions, struggled tonight. They actually had a Hail Mary at the end of that game at Wellington that was in a receiver's hands and got broken up. So they came really close to an upset there. That was a top 10 state-ranked team. Wellington number 3 in the state in Division 2 of 2A. New Deal number 9 in Division 1. So a great ball game there. But New Deal had to lick their wounds and come back out and take care of things against Slayton. But I like what Lawrence Johnson started out there at Slayton so far. I think his club, despite the loss to Abernathy tonight, seems to be off to a good start in his career there.
Is this a rebuild? We got about 30 seconds for Abernathy. I mean, they lose their coach and their quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, Jess Hull's a very experienced guy at quarterback. They have some skill guys at receiver. They still have a lot of talent at the defensive side of things. But I think for the Antelopes, the biggest thing is just kind of moving on. I mean, a lot of guys are going to have to step up that haven't been there before. I think it's similar to Estacado. The tradition, though, is so strong and has been here for a decade that I don't think it'll be too tough to keep things going with Justin Wiley in charge.
All right, Garrett, appreciate the time as always. Enjoy your weekend. For Kurt Kaiser, who rolls his R's like no other gringo I know, I'm Rob Verby, Bobby Joe. So long, everybody.